podcast, viewers and everyone. Today is like EcoEcho's first episode. Today we have the best guest that we can ever get. That is Sama Bilbao, ma'am. She is currently the director of World Nuclear Association, and she has been representing nuclear at various levels through World Nuclear Symposium and also many different platforms and rooting against all the anti-nuclear claims and making sure that everyone understands what actual facts and what reality is. So, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us here today.
It is my pleasure. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you and your audience.
Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, first, before beginning anything else, I would like to ask you is that uh, how did you get into this field? Because energy, as a broad perspective, it is a big field. It has like solar and all this stuff. And right when you were in college, like in 1986 or 1982. So in that during that time, nuclear was not looked upon as very good. As I know, definitely no.
Right.
So because in 1987, I guess the accident happened, right? Chernobyl incident.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So
Well,
still you chose it. So what was the
right,
inspiration
right.
behind that?
Well, so let me tell you. So I've always wanted to be an engineer. So that was a little bit easy, and I always wanted to be an energy engineer, kind of like you. You guys are petroleum engineers and other types of energy. So that's what I did. I am originally from Spain, and in Spain I studied mechanical engineering and energy technologies. That was the career path that we had. And when you study energy technologies, you get to see all the different energy technologies. So when I looked at all of them, well, to me at the time, nuclear energy immediately jumped out as the energy technology that had more advantages and fewer disadvantages. Again, as you very well know, none of them is perfect, but at the time, that's what I felt. And I continue to work on my history in that. I mean, as you know, afterwards, I started my university degree in Spain in 1986. I continue in nuclear despite the terrible events at Chernobyl. And then I did went to the United States to pursue a PhD, and I continue working in nuclear engineering. And as you know, I have worked in nuclear energy and nuclear related jobs all my life. And I continue to believe that while it's not the only energy source that we need, I think that we need a balanced energy mix. To me, nuclear energy provides enormous advantages and opportunities, and this is why I continue working in it.
Yes, that is definitely true, ma'am. Because just like solar panels require so much space, and you cannot have a solar panel everywhere. But on the other end of on the other end of the spectrum, we can set up a nuclear power plant anywhere, and it will not have any intermittency as such that other
Exactly.
sources. Yes.
Exactly.
So
So I think that this is some of the things that you are mentioned are very important, right? So once again, I mean, we will need a combination of all energy sources, including, I believe, for many decades yet, fossil fuels, etc. And and solar and wind and geothermal and hydropower and nuclear. So these are all excellent carbon free or low carbon energy sources, but we do really need to have a combination of them all because we really need to optimize land use, we need to optimize the use of critical minerals and critical materials, we need to make sure that we have 24/7 reliable and resilient energy. So that means that we need to find base load in combination with some other peaking sources. And then another thing that I think is very important is the overall affordability of the system. I mean, we need to provide energy systems that are going to provide affordable, clean energy to everybody, not just to a few people or a few companies that can afford it. And I think that this optimization of the system is what is going to allow everybody in the world to have access to that energy that obviously we all need to progress and to develop socio-economically.
The next question I would like to ask is something that most people today are thinking, whoever are interested in nuclear energy as such. First is the small nuclear power plant, and second is thorium reactor really possible? Because China recently, I think 2 months back, just announced that it has made the first nuclear thorium reactor. power plant.
Okay, so yeah, as I mean, let me take a step back in what you are saying, and then I will address your question. I promise. So I just really want to maybe highlight that. So nuclear energy. I don't know how many of your the people in your audience are familiar with this, but is currently the second largest source of carbon-free electricity in the world, second only to hydropower, and in the OECD countries is the first source of carbon-free electricity. At the same time, for many, I mean, and this has been for many decades, for the last 5 decades, but at the same time, I think that most people doesn't really know that. I mean, I think nuclear energy is really a little bit, this silent giant that is kind of working in the shadows, but nobody knows about it. So the good news is that in the last perhaps 2 or 3 years, we've seen enormous recognition from governments, from the finance community, from media, from the public about the very important role of the existing nuclear fleet, but also, and this is answering your question, there has been recognized the enormous need for new nuclear energy just to maintain the current percentage of carbon-free electricity. So last year at COP28 in Dubai, I think that you probably remember how we were able to bring together 25 countries in 4 different continents that are all committed to tripling global nuclear capacity by 2050. So that gives you an idea the importance of not only the existing fleet, but the future new fleet. So in this tripling global nuclear capacity, this is a huge challenge. We are talking about 1,000 gigawatts of new capacity in the next 25 years. And I don't know. I mean, 1,000 gigawatts. Perhaps it doesn't mean very much to you and some people in your audience. So just so you have an idea, every year, right now, we grow or we start 10 gigawatts of new nuclear capacity. And if we really want to meet 1,000, we will need to start to do 40 gigawatts of nuclear capacity per year at a global level. So this is a huge challenge, and this is going to be large reactors and small modular reactors. It's going to be a big diversity of reactors that are going to provide different services and different opportunities to different people. So large reactors, I think you are familiar with them. We've been using them for a while. India is a fabulous country where you currently have 23 reactors that are under operation. You have 7 new reactors under construction in India, and an incredibly strong and really robust industry and supply chain. But now we are also looking at small modular reactors. So these are very exciting because this provide a new way to deliver nuclear energy. So these are smaller, these tend to be modular, these tend to be factory fabricated, and what this means is it's going to be easier and faster to deploy them in many locations. And also they can be customized to different needs. So as you know, nuclear energy can provide not only electricity but also heat, which is unique. It's the only energy source that can provide those two very important energy carriers at the same time. So we can use these small modular reactors, we can put them together, say, a steel making factory and provide electricity and heat, or a petrochemical industry, or hydrogen production, of ammonia production. So they give very important opportunities. So like for example, we already have some small modular reactors that are being deployed and are providing electricity, heat, and fresh water to remote locations in northeast Russia. These are mining towns or remote industrial towns that otherwise they will be dependent on diesel generators, and it would be very expensive to actually transport all this diesel, and also it would have some health effects and obviously environmental effects. So to me, this is super exciting because in addition to the proven nuclear technology that we have had for 5 decades, now we also have these small modular reactors that provide additional exciting opportunities to use nuclear energy.
Thank you
Oh,
so
and
much
I
for this.
didn't answer your question about thorium. So sorry, maybe let me ask you. So I think that thorium is a very interesting fuel for nuclear.
Yes, I know.
Obviously, in India, there is vast reserves of thorium, and as you know, the three steps plan that the government of India has for the long-term energy vision for India does include the use of thorium
Yes,
in
I know.
nuclear reactors. So I think that that is very exciting, and clearly the very experienced and expert engineers and scientists in India do know that this is possible. I mean, there are experiments, and there's a lot of work that exists. And as you mentioned, there is already some prototype work that is taking place not only in India but in other countries. So I think that thorium is definitely a important resource that we need to consider for nuclear. I mean, at the same time, let's just not make it, it's not as simple as it sounds. I mean, it will require developing a new supply chain. It will require new infrastructure to actually make the most of this alternative fuel source for nuclear energy. But clearly, as you very well know, is definitely an option. And I'm sure that as we move forward in the future, it will be considered and perhaps used in many countries.
The next question I had was that as you have experienced that you just said that only that 25 countries are coming up with nuclear energy and tripling it. But still, in total world, there are many countries who do not have a single even nuclear research facility as well.
Right.
So many of the students themselves are cut cut from the opportunity for even pursuing a career or getting a formal education within this field, which is highly rewarding, to be honest. I know
Mm,
that I have heard some of the salaries and Googled some stuff and thought that
mhm.
I should have taken nuclear energy as my major. And so, how do you think that people from, let's say, mechanical engineering or other prospects from engineering can switch their careers into nuclear and
Right.
energy?
Well, so I will tell you, I think that uh, so yes, currently there is, I believe, 34 countries that are operating commercial nuclear power plants. But currently also there is at least 15 countries in several continents that are very seriously moving forward with new nuclear energy programs. So I think that this means that there is a growing demand for nuclear professionals, and not only in existing countries but in new countries. I mean, frankly, in India, as you very well know, the Indian government has plans to triple the Indian nuclear capacity in the next few years. I believe it's by 2040 or 2050. These are very ambitious plans. So this means that there will be many opportunities for rewarding, exciting, long-term, well-paid, quite high-tech, quite challenging, but as I said, exciting and impactful jobs for many people in the Indian and global nuclear industry. And one thing that I want to say, in the nuclear industry as well as in many other clean energy industries, we need lots of expertise. Yes, we do need a few nuclear engineers, but we will need many mechanical engineers, we will need many electrical engineers, we will need lots of civil engineers, we will need chemical engineers, we will need many other engineerings, and we will need many other professions, starting from operators, welders, all the construction and project management experts. We will need nuclear lawyers, we will need nuclear communicators, we will need nuclear logistics experts. So what I really want you and your audience to know is that the opportunities are endless. It's not just you don't just have to become a nuclear engineer. You with your current expertise could be essential to contribute in different aspects of the global nuclear enterprise. So I would really recommend that if this is something that interests you, I would look into this, because right now the nuclear industry, one of our biggest challenges, if we want to triple global nuclear capacity, that probably means that we want to probably triple or close to our current workforce. So we are going to need all the talent, all the skills, all the knowledge and experience that you and many people in your audience can bring to our industry, and perhaps other clean energy industries. So please explore that. I mean, I would recommend that you visit our website. We are doing a lot of work to perhaps direct people that are interested in being a nuclear professional, as I said, in any aspects of our industry, to find the right opportunities. So I can only encourage you. I mean, we have conversations with younger professionals every day, and I think that many of them are very inspired because, as you, I mean, not only do you want to have a well-paid, long-term, challenging and exciting job, but also you want to know that you are making a difference. You want to know that you are contributing to make the world a better place, and making sure that everybody everywhere will have access to affordable 24/7 clean energy, so they can grow and prosper and develop and reach the standard of living that you and I and others have today. So I think that's very exciting.
Yeah, sure, definitely. The website you mentioned is actually really helpful because recently I took part in a case competition, and in that I had to search about some nuclear prospects currently operating in Turkey. And so in the case competition, I wish to learn more about the reactors that are being developed, such as different
Hmm.
reactors, VAR 1200 or VAR TOR and APR and all this. So
Right,
the website was wonderful. All the content was really up to date, and I'm really
definitely.
grateful for that as well.
Well, no,
Yes.
thank you. I will make sure that I pass this to my colleagues. I will tell you, and we are incredibly proud of our information library, which is available free of charge to anybody everywhere in our website. Is always up to date, and we really are proud of making sure that the information is accessible to any level of knowledge. I mean, so you can be an experienced nuclear professional, or you can be a newcomer that is still learning and not quite as knowledgeable just yet. And I think that the information library can be helpful to you either way.
Ma'am, the next question I would like to ask you is that which country do you think would be the France of East? Like, as you know, that France is the unbeatable power in nuclear, at least in
Hmm.
Europe and whole of the world. And so, which country do you think will uprise?
Well, I think that we are seeing that most of the growth in recent times in nuclear energy has, as you said, taken place in Asia. We are seeing how China and India have been, both of them, stepping on each other's toes to grow very, very quickly. So China has been, as you know, there is, I mean, there is an enormous growth in China in recent years, but we are seeing just as important growth in India. And I think that what is also interesting in India is also developing its own indigenous technology, which is also quite interesting, and quite well. I mean, it's a big accomplishment that I think that the nuclear sector and the nuclear industry and community in India should be very proud of. And then, of course, we also are aware of Korea. You know that South Korea has also been a powerhouse in nuclear energy in recent times, and clearly they are showing us that they continue to be, as you know. South Korea just supported the United Arab Emirates in the
Yes.
construction of 4 units at the Baraka site in the UAE in Abu Dhabi. So clearly, South Korea is a huge powerhouse that is also now starting construction in Czech Republic. But as we know, I mean, India continues to work quite aggressively to perhaps partner with other countries. Russia is also a very important country that, as you know, is building reactors in Bangladesh, in Turkey, in Egypt. And then there is lots and lots of work that is taking place in Europe. You mentioned France, of course, but frankly, right now, I would say that most countries in Europe are contemplating, number one, extending the life of their current fleet and building new reactors. You know, from Sweden, Netherlands, France, of course, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Romania, Bulgaria, Slovenia, Poland, Estonia. I think I've forgotten many, but Italy even. So you see that there is much going on. And then, frankly, as you know, looking at North America, you know that US historically has been also a powerhouse, and I think that there is much growth that is taking place both in US and in Canada. A new generation of small modular reactors. There's been a lot of advances to see the first construction projects being successful. And then last but certainly not least, I will mention South America. You know that both Argentina and Brazil are also moving forward with their nuclear energy programs. So this is existing countries. And then let me just say, because that probably helps you with newcomer countries in case you are contemplating this. Southeast Asia, I was just last week in Singapore. So Singapore, Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, they are very seriously contemplating new nuclear, and I'm sure they will partner with other countries, whether it is Korea or India or China or France or somebody else. And then also in Africa, we are seeing many countries beyond South Africa that already operates nuclear power plants, and Egypt that is currently building ones. So we have Ghana and Kenya, Nigeria, Namibia, that they are very serious about nuclear. So I think that this is going to be a global market, and I think that one thing that makes the nuclear industry unique is that we do work together, we do partner together. So I think that we are going to see many collaborations between all these different powerhouse countries and powerhouse companies to actually, make nuclear energy available to everybody, every country in the world that wishes to use this technology.
What you are telling all about and what you are saying is kind of makes it a dream to enter this industry and work for it. It's really
Mhm,
wonderful to hear. So, ma'am, with an experience of over 40 years, that you were definitely seeing the technology grow, and now as like the incidents that had happened, though it was it's not good that it happened, it has been a dream of like it has been past what is nuclear, and it definitely has somehow corrupted the image. But today the technology has definitely evolved a lot, and even the big tech companies like Microsoft and Google have now opted to build new nuclear power plants to powerhouse their data
mhm,
warehouses and everything like that. So, what do you think? Can every big company, let's say Amazon or let's say SpaceX or more of
mhm.
those, can they also build something like nuclear power plants, power their own
Well,
office?
I think that as I said before, I mean, let's make sure that so nuclear energy is one piece of the puzzle. So we will see hopefully a very balanced energy mix at a global level. It may be different in different countries, but we will see a combination of different clean energy sources. So as far as nuclear, I think that what many companies, in particular tech companies, have realized is that nuclear energy provides something that is quite unique, which is the 24/7 reliable energy and electricity that few other clean energy sources can provide, right? So this is exactly what you said that we are seeing. I think it was just 2 weeks ago. We have three or four announcements from Amazon, Google, and Ubitus, and I forgot several other energy companies that they had different deals, different partnerships with nuclear energy technology companies to actually develop this fixed 24/7 energy. So I think that we will see some of that. I mean, we will see much more of that because, but it's not just technology companies. We are seeing similar deals with, say, for example, chemical companies. I mean, Dow Chemical has already done a lot of work with X Energy to actually get nuclear energy to power some of their facilities. And again, it's not just the electricity, but it's also the process heat for their industry. And I think that we are seeing the same. Nucor, also in the US, which is a big steel making company, is looking at nuclear electricity and energy to decarbonize their entire cycle. So I think that we are going to see many more industries that are going to consider nuclear energy as a key piece of the puzzle for them, not just for the electricity, the 24/7 electricity, but also the heat. But as I say, let's not forget that in addition to providing clean 24/7 energy to industry, we also need to provide clean industry energy to the average person, right? So it's not just for Amazon or I don't know, or some other, or Microsoft or whomever to be the decarbonized, but also you and I and the average person everywhere in the world. We need to be able to come home and turn off the lights and turn on our computers and use our perhaps electric vehicles, or open our refrigerators, and make sure that all that electricity is also 24/7, and it's also clean, and very importantly is affordable. So I think that it's important that governments, when we are looking at the energy systems of the future, we are not just looking at making sure that big tech companies that clearly have big resources have energy. That's very important. We should make sure that that happens, but let's make sure that the rest of us, that we don't have as deep pockets as these companies, also have access to this affordable energy.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. The next question that I would like to ask is that there are multiple myths when you choose majors which are not so common. Let's say as electricity is common, but let's say suppose I am in petroleum engineering right now. So most of my friends who are not here, they think that I would go on and work on a petrol pump or a gas pump like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there any myths that you also encountered while you were beginning your journey in the industry?
Um, so you mean like the first steps to start your career? I mean, as in where will we do that? Or I mean, maybe you want to elaborate a little bit on your question.
Okay, ma'am. Like there are myths mean like false accusations. That is not true. They just ask, like I'll just give an example. Like while you were working in, let's say, in a nuclear factory, and you were in a power plant, and you went there, and suppose a friend of yours who does not know how the industry works or what exactly nuclear power plant is, so he may ask is that, do you also get some radiation? I'll get away from you and everything.
Ah, okay. Well, so I mean, obviously, as we know, no energy source is perfect. We all have advantages and disadvantages. However, so you know that typically when we look at the impacts of any technology, I mean, in this case, nuclear energy, what we really do is we look at the life cycle impacts. And in fact, I mean, if you come to our website, we can actually, or I could cite you, there is recent United Nations Economic Commission for Europe reports that actually summarize the life cycle impacts of all electricity generation technologies. So, and this include, as you say, I mean, so it's clearly carbon emissions, but also land use, is pollution, not just CO2 emissions, but other air pollution, water pollution, and of course radiation. And so when you look at the life cycle impacts when it comes to radiation for nuclear energy, it's actually not as high as you would think. I mean, so the reality is, radiation in nuclear power plants is really very low, and certainly, so first of all, the workers and the public and the environment are well protected by law, by regulation, by safety and security standards from this technology. But also, the reality is that the technology is very safe, and we are making sure that there is no external impacts. So the reality is, because radiation is a natural process, and we actually see naturally radioactive materials all around us. The reality is, for example, when we burn coal in a coal power plant, there is much more radiation that is emitted to the atmosphere, because there is naturally radioactive materials that are embedded in the coal minerals. Or, like, for example, when you are using geothermal energy, there is natural radiation that comes from the earth, from this natural geothermal energy that we are harnessing in this geothermal plant, that also impacts the workers and the public. So with this, I don't mean that coal or geothermal or other energy sources should not be used. Just the opposite. I think that we all just need to understand that, um, we need to understand what are the real impacts, not the scary things that we see in movies. Okay, so what are the real impacts of doing our work, whether it is in the uh, petroleum industry, or in the nuclear industry, or in other industries. And I think that, so in my case, I will tell you that I've always been very active to make sure that, if colleagues, friends, my neighbors, or people that I find when I'm in the grocery store, and they don't understand. I mean, they really have misconceptions about what I do and how safe it is for them and for me, the work that we are doing. I think it's always very good for all of us to be very transparent, and to take the time to explain to people that don't know what we do, that what we do is important and valuable, whether it's in nuclear energy or petroleum engineering, or anything else.
Nuclear energy is way much safer than petroleum engineering, that I can say for sure. And there was one quote that I specifically saw online, that which made me realize that anyone who is against nuclear hears this, then he will definitely change his mind. And the quote was that if you think that nuclear is harmful, then you should probably stop eating, because over the last century, more people have died by choking on food rather than nuclear.
Exactly, exactly. No, I mean, I think that, again, I think it's very important to recognize, what are the questions, and what are the fears, and what are the misconceptions that people have about different technologies. And I'm sure that you, as a petroleum engineer, you will have colleagues or friends or your neighbors that sometimes ask you, how difficult or how safe or how environmentally benign is to do, drilling, or, I mean, these things much better than I do. So, but I think is, and I'm sure when you talk to them, you actually acknowledge their concerns, and you take the time to make sure that you can clarify any questions that they have. So I think it's important to recognize that all questions are good questions, and that all concerns, while may not be based on reality, they need to be addressed, and we need to make sure that people are given the opportunity to actually get all the information, and then, of course, make up their own mind. So I think all these statistics are great, and it's lovely that you have been learning about that. But at the same time, I think it's very important that we take the time to make sure that people have the time to digest what it means, and what is the right information.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Now, after talking so much about nuclear, now let's shift the perspective about towards your journey and your life. So, the first question I would like to ask you is that, ma'am, you have represented the World Nuclear Association at so many levels and so many conferences and everything.
Mhm.
Even this year, you represented it and World Nuclear Symposium. So, how is that experience? How are those conferences and all those things, like the exposure, traveling to so many countries and everything, feel
Mhm.
like?
Well, I will tell you, I've been in this job for exactly 4 years. I think it was last week, when I actually it was my 4 year anniversary, and I consider myself one of the luckiest persons in the world because I happen to be doing exactly what I love the most, which is explain to people why nuclear energy is essential to the prosperity of the world and moving forward. And I get to do that as my everyday job. Somebody actually pays me for doing this, so this is very nice. And also, as you said, this is a critical moment for the nuclear energy sector. It is so exciting to see so much interest, so many opportunities, so many things that are positive that are happening all over the world. So so yeah, sometimes it is tiresome. I mean, as you see in my LinkedIn or my X accounts, I do travel a lot trying to bring the good news about nuclear energy and nuclear science and technology everywhere. But I mean, this is the time. This is exactly where I think it's important for everybody to have the opportunity to consider this technology for their country or for their company or for their future. So it's exciting for me. I definitely love it. And so as you know, I mean, looking at my career, everything that I've always done has been in nuclear energy. So I did work in the industry. I was a professor at a university for a little while. So, and then I work at the International Atomic Energy Agency. I work at the OECD Nuclear Energy Agency, and now I'm here at World Nuclear Association. So, as I said, this is almost my dream job to be able to communicate, to explain what nuclear is and how important maybe for many people and many countries. So, yeah, I am super happy to be able to do this.
Yeah, thank you so much for a day in your life, about telling us about your day in your life. Further, I would like to ask you, ma'am, is that when you were in college, when you were pursuing your dream and career, what do you think was one of the incidents that really inspired you as a student?
Well, I will tell you, I've been incredibly lucky, and I'm sure you and many other colleagues have similar experiences. I've been so lucky that many of my professors were true mentors that inspired me and motivated me and gave me opportunities to do what I well, I mean, I wouldn't be here without them, without them opening doors for me and sometimes almost pushing me to go through the door. But so I think that one of the things that have been more inspiring for me was again seeing some of my professors when they talk to people, and you can see immediately the impact that the work that we are doing is making in the normal people out there. So like, for example, my first job, I work at a nuclear utility in the US in Virginia. um, sometimes, as you probably see in the news more and more, given this acceleration of climate change, there's very many times that there are thunderstorms and hurricanes and things like that. So I had the opportunity to contribute. Sometimes there was a thunderstorm and we lost power, and then my coworkers and I, we were working together with others to restore power to the people, to the normal people. And again, to me, you know this. I mean, the difference between having power and not having power is enormous. I mean, having a fridge, having air conditioning or heating, depending on where you are, having access to fresh water. So all those things are so impactful, and I had that opportunity to work with that with in my first job, and I've never looked back. I mean, I really feel that I mean, I can go to bed every day saying, okay, I've made a difference.
That was really inspiring, ma'am. Ma'am, it would be one of the last questions, ma'am, because there is
Hmm.
definitely a time constraint. Yes, which I'm really sorry for. Further, the last question that I would like to ask is that, ma'am, uh, what do you think people should focus on while thinking about nuclear, and how can countries themselves improve to better apt for nuclear? Because right now, even when you think the any nuclear power plant to be built, you have to at least take in account 7 years or something like that. And
Right.
like the fastest nuclear power plant, which I think was built by Japan, and it was in 39 months itself. It's added
Exactly.
7.7 gigawatt of energy.
Right.
So what do
Right.
you think? How can countries themselves improve?
Well, I think that when we think about the energy transformation that we are looking at a global level, really, I really think that we when I say we, I mean all of us, starting from policymakers, the finance community, we, the public, which at the end of the day we are the ones that vote for different policymakers, right? So we really need to actively engage in this conversation. So when we are thinking about this conversation, we really need to focus on the final objective. The final objective is not to deploy X percent of nuclear, X percent of solar, X percent of wind. That's not the final objective. The final objective is to achieve a clean energy system. Essentially, the final objective is to avoid carbon emissions while making sure that everybody has access to energy, the energy that they need for their uh, prosperity and socioeconomic growth in a manner that is affordable and sustainable, right? So that is the goal, and there is not one solution that fits all. Okay, so some countries will use different technologies, and some countries will use nuclear. So I think that there's been a misconception that nuclear power takes forever. I think that it doesn't have to take forever. As you very well mentioned, in Japan, Kashiwazaki Kariba 6 and 7, they were built in less than 40 months. So that's very significant. When you are looking at the many of the Chinese reactors that are being built now, they are being built in 4.5 years or so. In fact, if you look at the medium duration of a nuclear project construction today is about 4.6 years. So it's really, well, much longer than we would like it to be, but certainly not 27 years. And I think that we need to look at very, very successful examples like we were discussing before. UAE, United Arab Emirates, they have gone from zero to 25% of their electricity to come for carbon-free nuclear energy in less than 14 years. That is a major achievement. If you look at Bangladesh, Bangladesh is going, I think that they are planning to start their first unit next year in 2025. So Bangladesh, again, will go from 0 to 10% of their electricity coming from nuclear in 10, 11 years. That is very important. If you look at the examples of Sweden and France in the 80s, they actually they decarbonized their economy with nuclear in 15 years. So I think that when countries look forward and what their long-term plan ambition is to have an energy system that is resilient, reliable, 24/7, affordable, and clean, they need to look at, okay, what is the perfect or optimum combination of technologies, and what is the industrial policies that we need to develop in order to build all that generation, all that transmission, all that workforce that is going to build and operate this energy system on time, on budget, at the scale and the speed that is needed. So this is a huge challenge for everyone. I mean, for nuclear, for wind, for solar, for geothermal, for many other technologies. So this is where we really, really, really need policymakers, the finance community, civil society to engage in a constructive dialogue where we actually take a step back, truly, truly, truly roll up our sleeves and actually do the analysis. Let's remove all dogmatism, let's remove all preconceived notions about any technology, and let's actually just get our calculators, let's do the math, let's optimize how we are going to develop and implement these systems, because that's the only way where we are going to get what we need to get. And this needs to be a team effort, a concerted, well thought out effort. So that's what I would say. And again, this doesn't apply exclusively to nuclear. I think this applies to all clean energy technologies and frankly, the entire economy and infrastructure in every country.
Thank you. One last question, and then we'll end. The last question I would like to ask you is that if not nuclear engineer, then what profession do you think would have
For me,
gotten into? Yes, ma'am.
so if I wouldn't have been a nuclear engineer, I probably would have been a vet, a veterinary doctor. Yes. So I love animals. So I think I would have done that. Yeah, that would have been my second option. So here we are.
Yeah. Thank you very much, ma'am. It has surely been a wonderful time and wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for donating your time to us and educating so many of our viewers about nuclear energy, its various advantages, and what actually is happening in the industry. We are really grateful for you, ma'am. Thanks so much.
Well, no, thank you very much. Thank you, for inviting me to join you and your audience in this podcast. I mean, I hope this has been useful, and I'm super happy to if you and your audience has many more questions about any of the things that we discussed, please let us know. We'll be happy to find the right speaker to come to talk to you and to answer those questions. And once again, we are at your disposal. If there is anything else that we can do to help and support you and your colleagues, we are here to help.
Definitely, ma'am. You also, if you ever come to India or need any help, let's say in Bombay, Bangalore, anywhere, just call me. I'll make all the accommodations and everything.
Very well.
Right?
Yeah, I think I will. I think I plan to be in India in February. I think I'm going to India Energy Week. I can't remember whether it's in Mumbai or in Delhi, but I will let you know if we are going to
It,
be there.
yes, ma'am. It happens in Delhi. Many of our alumni have already. Many of our final year students definitely will go to India Energy Week and represent our college there.
Okay, lovely. So I look forward to the opportunity to perhaps getting to see each other in person in the future. So thank you very
Definitely.
much. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. You end the video. Thank you.